The system of checks and balances under the U.S. Constitution. Introduction. To prevent one branch of the government from becoming supreme and to induce the other branches of government to cooperate, the framers of the U.S. Constitution provided a system based on a theory of separation of power along with internal checks and balances. One organ of the government is obstructed by another. The system of checks and balances has interlocked the three organs of the government. Checks and balances refer to the various procedural rules that allow one branch to limit another, such as the authority of the President to veto legislation passed by Congress or the power of Congress to alter the composition and jurisdiction of the federal courts. Constituents of the checks and balances system. A. Legislative. B. Executive. C. Judicial. Evolution of system of check and balance. Montesquieu, a French writer, and the theory of separation of power expounded the theory of check and balance. He laid down the theory of separation of power as a device to avoid concentration of authority. At the same time, he talked of checks and balances. Power is to be checked upon power was his maxim. Basis of the system of checks and balances. The system of checks and balances is based on the maxim: if a power is not to be abused, then it is necessary in the nature of things that the power be made a check on power. Working of the system of checks and balances. A. Check on Congress. The American Congress is empowered to make law for the country, but any bill passed by Congress cannot become law unless it has received the President's assent. The American President is empowered to withhold his assent and send the bill back to Congress. The Supreme Court can also declare a law unconstitutional if it violates the Constitution. The President controls Congress. He may veto a bill. B. Check on judiciary. The President and Congress have certain checks on judiciary. The U.S. President appoints the judges of the Supreme Court whose approval is to be accorded by the Senate. The salaries of the judges are determined by Congress and are subjected to certain restrictions. The judiciary is powerful but not free from checks. Congress can impeach the judges. C. Check on the President. The American President is said to be the most powerful person in the world. The President is the chief executive of the country and is given vast powers. However, there are many checks on these powers. Congress checks the powers of appointment of the President. He can only appoint high officials, ambassadors or judges with the approval of the Senate. Besides, he cannot declare war without the sanctions of Congress and make treaties without Senate ratification. The Supreme Court is empowered to declare any act of the President unconstitutional and, therefore, null and void, if it contravenes the provision of the Constitution.